All right, guys. Now, welcome to the second Hoop Central discussions. Last time we talked about, why can't I? Oh, hockey culture versus basketball culture. Wow, yeah.
You forgot?
It's already slipping my mind. A lot of stuff's going on right now. A lot of stuff involving us, involving sports. First, let's talk about the one thing everyone's talking about, not only in just the sports world, but throughout the whole entire world, right?
The elephant in the room.
The COVID-19 or the coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. As of now, we go to Ryerson, and Ryerson has canceled classes, so it's kind of weird because we did not expect it today. Maybe the weekend probably, but
Today's the last day.
Yeah, they're already jumping on the gun.
Yeah, because a little bit of context about that. What happened was there were some people who already had classes today, and in the middle of the day, they're just like, okay, effective right now, we're canceling all classes. So we have class later on. And we weren't sure if we're supposed to go or not, but everyone canceled their classes except for that one. Because the prof's like, okay, expect to come, and nobody's going to show up.
I know Malik was going in on him before.
He's my best friend now.
I think a lot of people are, but that's besides the point. Even though it is a little bit related to what we're talking about, just... The world's shutting down from what it seems like. Yeah. Canada is taking a big hit
the whole
from
world
the coronavirus.
Justin Trudeau's wife?
Trudeau's wife, Tom Hanks.
Yeah. So right now, we're recording this on Friday, March 13th, which is midway through. The coronavirus has been around for about 2 months now. But so all the info you're hearing today will be relevant up to that date.
Yes, that is a great way to put that. Mm-hmm. And I like it's Friday the 13th. I didn't even know
it's Friday the 13th.
It is?
Yeah, it's Friday the 13th.
Of course. Of course.
Scary times.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Everything's adding up now. But let's talk about not only just what's happened with the NBA, but all of the sports leagues. Obviously, the NBA was the first major sports league of the four to come out and say that, you know what, we're going to suspend the season until this thing gets under control, mainly because of Rudy Gobert and him contracting the coronavirus, first of North American sports. It took a while until, not really a while, but maybe the next day, I think the NHL also suspended.
NHL, MLS, MLB, the Premier League, I think they just canceled
Premier
it.
League, yeah,
tennis,
lacrosse. Is it Arsenal's coach or Liverpool?
I think Arsenal.
Arsenal's head coach
I could be wrong, though. Yeah,
Arsenal's coach has
contracted as well. Donovan Mitchell contracted as well.
There's one player from Premier League. I don't know.
There's a guy on Chelsea.
Yeah,
I don't know his name though.
Yeah,
I don't know his name though.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him either. What else was I gonna say? There's not much left on TV right now.
Oh, there really is. I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube and Netflix.
Me too.
And sports.
Yeah, the only time I'm on TV is just to watch the Raptors or any type of sports game, right?
Yeah, I got sports. I got Sportsnet. I got NBA TV, and then there's golf, which I don't know.
Golf isn't canceled. And UFC isn't canceled either.
UFC, that's it.
Yeah, Dana White said they're gonna keep going with it.
Yeah, we've got a very limited selection of things right now to watch. All we've got right now is the UFC. Boxing is still on, right?
Yeah, boxing.
So if you want to check those out, learn some more about boxing, head over to DAZN.
Why
not?
DAZN.
They're
DAZN.
Hey,
they're the place to go to for that stuff right now. Not sponsored, but they carry a lot of stuff on fighting.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
While everything else is taking a hiatus, might as well just go and find something to watch over there.
Anything right now.
Or even cricket.
Cricket.
No, that's what my dad watches,
Cricket's not canceled, so
nice. I gotta watch more cricket.
We might as well get in on that too.
One thing that's crazy, just a quick thing before we get really into the meat and potatoes of this discussion. The Caribbean and Africa were the only two places that were not touched by the coronavirus one bit.
No way.
I think and South America for the most part. Now a little bit, but
Guyana, the country that my background is, they got their first case of corona because someone wanted to come from the U.S. and bring it over to the country. So,
my God.
Nice.
But so technically, it's not inside their country. It's not growing out of it. It's from people traveling. But it's kind of funny how everyone makes these jokes about Africa, and look at Africa. They're just probably watching.
They're chilling.
The most healthiest right now.
Whoever has the news outlets, they're probably just looking, just laughing. We had our own time. Now it's time for you guys to. Anyways,
to suffer.
I was watching CB24 this morning, and they were talking about the Africa thing. I heard about it, but I didn't know they were one of the fewest country to not get affected. But they were saying that the warmer the country or the warmer the specific temperature is, the coronavirus will it will go away. It won't affect it. So they're saying it will not evaporate away,
But
like,
it doesn't.
will
It
kinda
won't
go away.
survive.
The warm weather will kill the coronavirus. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, because it behaves similar to SARS, how SARS was back in 2002 and 3. It behaves similar to them, to those strains of viruses, you know. So if as the summer comes around and weather gets warmer, hopefully we can see a bit of a change.
Yeah.
We start to peak and slow down a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I think we should talk about a little bit how, like our opinions on how the coronavirus is affecting the league or all the sports leagues, and if they're taking too drastic measures, if they're taking it too lightly, you know, things like that. Who wants to start?
I guess I'll start it off.
Yeah? Okay.
To be honest, I was one of those people who did not think the coronavirus was that serious. I thought people were just panicking for no reason. Like, everyone's just getting caught up with this whole narrative that's going on and whatever. But suspending the NBA is the right decision. Suspending the sport leagues in general is the right decision because once you have that one player that contracts it, you got to play it safe, and you can't risk not only other athletes getting it, but fans and other people in the arena before it becomes some widespread controversy, right? Because you don't want that blemish on your resume if you're the NBA, if you're the NHL, if you're the MLB, right? That, oh, there's this pandemic, because it's literally labeled as a pandemic, and all you did was just sit by and just rack in the money, right? And that's one thing the NCAA was going to do, and the NCAA's got a lot of hate because of how they've been using these athletes for money. The athletes don't get any cent from March Madness, any profit they make off of their names. And they took a while before they actually finally canceled their tournament.
Yeah, because at first they were going to do it without fans, right?
Yeah, at first they're going to do it without fans.
And then they just canceled it a day or two ago, right?
Yeah. And a lot of analysts like Stephen A. Smith was getting on them. Other basketball analysts, Jay Billis, Jay Williams, college professionals, they're like, you know what, you gotta do something about this. Like, you can't just leave it around, which is the right decision. And although it hurts as a sports fan to have no sports whatsoever that I watch personally, like I don't watch golf, I don't watch UFC, it is the right move, and hopefully this doesn't last for that long. I know the NBA is a minimum of 30 days. I don't know about any other leagues.
Yeah, I don't know about the other leagues. I know NBA is at least 30 days. MLS is at least 30 days.
Oh, okay.
MLB is 2
NHL.
weeks. MLB is 2 weeks. They canceled spring training, and MLB is the first 2 weeks they canceled so far. So
okay.
It's only 14 days. So
when does the season start for baseball?
What do you think?
Spring training's happening right now.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
They suspended spring training, and they're delaying the start of the season, I think, until after the start of May, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because middle of April it starts the season, right?
Yeah,
I think
I'm
so.
pretty sure.
Okay.
But they're delaying it an extra couple weeks minimum.
Okay, it won't. Well, they have games like every other day, so they'll have a lot of games to make up for that
they play every day
drop off or whatever compared to like NHL and NBA's 82 game schedule. By the time if they were to come back after this 30-day hiatus, it'd be right before playoffs. So it's going to be a narrative for sure. Like, we have a lot of narratives in the NBA right now. Like, the Raptors are the number 2 seed. Behind them is the Celtics chasing them for that number 2 seed.
Yeah.
What if this season doesn't get suspended? Does Boston take over the Raptors? Does Milwaukee continue to fall and somehow the Raptors get the number 1 seed? What happens in the Western with the LA teams? It's so many what ifs that people are going to think about from this season.
So many what ifs.
But now it's what if it happened, right? So now we're facing a completely different reality, right? So now that the leagues are suspended, the NBA, now we got to think of what are they going to do when they come back? Yeah. Are they going to make the season shorter? Mm-hmm. Are they going to extend it, and then they're going to play into the later months and just continue right where they left off? Like, what's the protocol that they're going to take? Because I have absolutely no idea.
I know Adam Silver was on Inside the NBA last night, and he answered some questions from Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith. I think Shaq was on it as well. Charles Barkley wasn't
there
because
he was being tested for coronavirus.
He was tested, but he's waiting results.
Nothing came up yet.
Yeah, it's
so no more
crazy.
So they're gonna take away TNT as well.
Yeah, it's like every sports outlet. That, oh my gosh, but yeah. One thing that I want to talk about as well is not only how it affects the sports that we've talked about a little bit, we shed some light on it, but like the economy. in the sports world. We know in general the economy is taking a big hit.
We're in a big depression.
Yeah,
right now.
like
It's crazy
the
right
stock
now.
market's seen its biggest crash since
biggest crash since,
what was it, Black
is it-
Monday? I don't even know. Back in
And-
like 1987.
Yeah,
like that.
before it was lower than the last big crash of 2009, I think. But now it's dropped even more. The stock market just keeps going
Yeah,
down.
the stock market, the economy, everything's been taking and gas prices have been
Gas prices are the lowest I've ever seen them.
They're saying that it's dropping 10 more cents on
Oh my
Saturday. And it's
gosh.
gonna be
80.
It's gonna be I think it's
80
holds
cents.
the record since 2009. So it hasn't been this low since 2008 2009.
Yeah, I think
that's what they were
crazy.
saying.
I know a couple 5 years ago or something there was a big gas drop, but now it's going down even more. I think
It's gonna keep
tonight
going.
it's going to go down another 10 cents down to 80
And maybe
cents a
Saturday,
liter.
10 cents.
I know,
Oh
and
my
it just went
gosh.
down.
Oh
10.
my
You
goodness.
gotta fill up your gas tank for sure.
Yeah. I have like a quarter gas tank left on the Jeep. So
I remember when
filling up today.
when like gas was like 104 and it got down to like 101. People were like lining up at gas stations
Yeah.
to fill
and
up their
now
gas.
it's like
Now, like, I was
my
at-
God.
On Wednesday, I got home late from class, right? And I looked. There's a gas station right by the GO station, so I looked
Nice.
at it, and gas was like 87.9, and I was like,
Is that right?
when's the last time I seen in the 80s? Like what?
Holy crap.
It's
know, right?
crazy.
Yeah, because
But,
they have
um,
to save money, so they take it down.
One thing I don't know about the NHL, but I know with the NBA, Mark Cuban and Dan Gilbert are two owners for respective teams. Mark Cuban for the Dallas Mavericks, Dan Gilbert for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they both come out and said they're gonna pay their staff as the in-arena staff and whoever works in the Dallas Mavericks and the Cleveland Cavaliers organization the remainder of their salaries as if they worked for the rest of the NBA season, which I think is a great gesture because we're not even like we're thinking about obviously sports, but
That's good.
it's bigger than sports for a lot of people.
A lot
because
of, a lot of people are losing work right now.
they're losing
although-
work. They're not gonna get money to pay bills, get food on the table. So I
Nickeem,
think
what was
those
the
are class
stat?
acts.
What was the stat that NBA said how much money they were losing? I think we were looking at it before the podcast.
From ticket sales, the NBA is losing. Let's just round it up to $500 million as an estimate, just from ticket sales that they would have sold. But
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Just for 1 month.
I've-
Yeah.
for
So
me.
one thing that's gonna be probably for all the leagues is the cap might go down because players are not going to get paid as much as their contracts are for this season.
and that's not good.
Just
Wow.
because they're not playing enough games to get paid for those games, right?
It's basically a
So-
race now for who has the most cap space right now. It's basically a race.
And
That's
if there's
crazy.
any athletes who end up complaining about this, you have no right to complain. It is a valid reason. You're not playing the games. You're not going to get paid.
Yeah,
Like,
and plus they're already making. Are they the
Yeah.
second highest paid athletes next to, or third or something between baseball and
yeah, I
NFL?
think, yeah.
They're
I
up
think
there.
I think basketball gets even paid more than the NFL because NFL is like
Yeah.
non-guaranteed contracts. Like majority of them are not guaranteed.
Okay.
But like
Doesn't
basketball,
Premier League gets a lot too. I don't know where
they
are
do
on the list.
too.
They get a lot too.
Because
soccer.
basketball has that 5-year is the max years.
Yeah.
I know baseball, soccer, they don't have a cap in the year, so you can sign like as we seen like Manny Machado signed was like a 10-year, $300 million deal.
Contract. Yeah.
10 years.
10 years?
for like
That's a
$300 million.
long term.
Bryce Harper did the same thing as well.
Yeah, Bryce Harper's
Yeah.
staying.
But I think that's one thing. How do you guys feel about do you think other teams should follow suit and pay their staff and
Yeah.
that type of
I definitely think so. It's not their faults that they're getting dragged down into this, and sure, things like this happen, right? But it's happening to such a big group of people, right? And I think it's not. They're too innocent to lose out.
Yeah.
They're not deserving of any pay losses or anything like that. So I think they should follow in the footsteps of Dallas.
Yeah,
You know?
Dallas and Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree because like I know there was a Nickeem and I were looking before. They were saying that because of like the market loss or something, some owners are losing a lot of money financially, like in their stadiums and not allowing fans, and the cap space is losing. So some of them may not be able to pay their players in full this year. That's what the NBA was saying. They were saying they could possibly pay them in small amounts or minimal amounts of percentages, which is not good. But hopefully they could like find a way around it. Adam Silver could conduct like a specific plan, as well as follow in the other footsteps of other associations like the NFL, MLB, or NHL. And hopefully, I know Kevin Love donated $100,000.
Yeah, to the Cleveland
So
Cavaliers.
that was really nice.
Class
and
act,
and that's a player.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. That's like a veteran class act right there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's going to be, for sure, LeBron's going to do something. You already
LeBron will
know
do
that.
something.
I don't know. I know a lot of people in the community in basketball, but are there some players in hockey who are known for being big in the community in their respective like markets?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I know, what's his name? I can't remember. Actually can't remember, but I know, like, for that sort of stuff, I've never seen anything like that as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a
me
it was just a
neither.
question because I
Me
wasn't
neither.
sure. I don't keep up with hockey that much, or football. Sometimes they'll do like Thanksgiving type stuff, hand out turkeys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think majority of the teams do that in
Yeah.
the major sports leagues.
Some
yeah.
some of them do as part of like brand deals and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
they've done that before.
Yeah.
And through like league organized stuff.
Yeah.
But out of their own pockets, I'm not 100%
Percent
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me neither.
'Cause I know NBA has NBA Cares, which is like their league thing. But the coronavirus is obviously something that people are gonna be talking about for a while, and
The headline of the year, literally.
yeah,
right?
like it's
wow, 2020.
hopefully sports comes back to what it was. And you know what? We're gonna go into the conversation we originally had planned for this video. We were talking about politics and sports, and obviously the way that this whole coronavirus came in, it was only made sense for us to talk about it and shed light on it. But we want to get into what we really had planned, and we're gonna start off with fighting. Fighting's been a big topic of discussion for a lot of sports. We've seen the NBA like chop down on the amount of physical activity you're allowed to have. There's the hand check rule now. But we know one thing is that there's certain sports that take pride in physicality. Football being one of them, rugby obviously, and hockey being sports that take pride in being physical, having fights. And we had Justin Pierce, who is a host on the Hoop Central podcast, say this in an episode where he was like, athletes should not be able to fight in games because if I was to go fight at my workplace, I would get arrested. So what are your opinions on that statement? Do you think that's a fair statement or...
Not necessarily, because look at boxing. Boxing,
that's the
their
thing
job.
I was thinking as well. Boxing is like, yeah.
That's the first thing that runs through your mind. But even then, in sports like hockey and football, you're not per se going right at it, head to head fighting, right?
Yeah.
But physical contact is part of the sport. They're trying to slow down or like limit the amount of fighting in hockey. Harsher penalties and stuff right now, but. It's part of the game, and to some extent, you need to accept it as what it is. But I get it; they don't want to enforce, they don't want to like promote the scene of fighting and people getting hurt and hurting each other, which is understandable. But body checking to get the puck is part of it, right? It's as simple as that, So I don't know. That's the main thing that goes through my head, aside from like the boxing thing. Like I think sometimes they're over. They're taking it too strictly. Like in many sports, it's part of it.
Yeah, it's just part of it. Malik, your thoughts on it?
I think between the NHL, the NFL, and boxing, I think it kind of like, I know back in the olden days they loved it, so it kind of serves as like a bittersweet moment for the fans in a way. Like I think I'm conflicted with Justin's comment, but I mean, I have to agree to disagree in this point because I mean there's certain sports that if you fight it could serve as like it could affect your long-term health, long-term injuries, but I think that with like the current officials in the NHL, NFL and boxing, I think they would put a line certain like rules and regulations so then they wouldn't have long-term health. Like they would fight to a certain extent. Like I know in the NHL like you fight for a bit and then the refs would come and say okay you're done. So like they would kind of sense it. I don't know the rule in the NHL, but I know that they wouldn't do anything to harm their players and like have them like injured in a way. So yeah, I think fighting should be for like only a certain extent in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like obviously, those sports take pride in it. It's part of the tradition. It's part of the sports wouldn't be the same if you take fighting out of it, right?
It's part of the play.
It's part of the play, exactly.
Right?
Basketball, they've had some big fights, but it's never been a part of the actual sport, so it makes sense as to why it was taken out, right?
Like say for basketball and soccer, there's less contact. Like in soccer, there's a lot of like shoulder rubbing, stuff like that. But hockey, it's a lot more physical, and I've noticed the NHL is starting to get more tough on these calls, like fighting calls, and harsher punishments, right? Like, did you guys see Zdeno Chara? He cross-checked.
That was a huge one.
He cross-checked Gallagher right in the face. He was or not in the face, right in the neck.
That was a huge one.
In Chara's defense, Gallagher did start it by cross-checking him first, and then he blocked it with his stick, pushed it out of the way, and then went in right in his neck. That's a very, very dangerous
play. Oh, play. For sure.
And he got away with it 100%. And then you look at these people who are like, they drop the gloves, and then 2 seconds after they drop the gloves, the refs are already in there breaking it up. That's the thing I don't understand. They're worried about player safety in like the wrong sort of manners. Like, I don't know how they didn't catch on that, and they didn't review that. Like, they have video evidence of Chara destroying this guy's neck. Like, luckily he was fine.
Yeah.
Gallagher was good, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's one thing I want to ask you guys too about a lot of people have a thing about the referees, and obviously people say fixed, the referees, so whatever. But consistency is a big thing, and we've seen in the past referees kind of throw games where there are blatant calls that anyone can make, but they don't make it.
Yeah.
Do you think referees should get penalized or some type of repercussion for messing up big, like obvious calls?
I think so. I really do. I think sometimes, in all honesty, like some games are fixed. At least it seems like it. Or even if they don't get penalized, the team should be able to like challenge more often, right? Like the thing with going back to the Chara example, nobody challenged it either. I don't think so. And if they get more opportunities to challenge things like that, I think it would mean a lot more for player safety and like refereeing the game properly and stuff like that. Like, to be more picky about like that sort of stuff. You know, in terms of like fighting, I think they're looking at the wrong things sometimes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Malik, you have anything to add to that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that there are a lot of undisclosed cases around the world for referees fixing games around like the league. But I mean, I guess we could look at it in a broader view. So we could say that specific teams are bigger markets than any other teams, and we could say that the referees also work with the associations of the specific sport, whether it's NBA, NFL, NHL, and it could benefit and make more money for the organization rather than a specific team winning fair and square. So we could look at it at that view as well. I mean, an example in the NBA, we could do Tim Donaghy and the gambling scandal.
Yeah,
I think where he would gamble on games and bet on games and fix them. So I mean, I think that the overall message that we could display here is that I think they should like allow more security, a lot more regulations on what refs can and can't do. Like, I know there's a lot of examples around the league right now in the NBA that like if referees miss calls and players make it known, they'd be like, okay, I got it, my bad. And then right away they would do another call to benefit the other team that just complained. So,
yeah,
I mean, like,
I've seen that. Like, the referees,
it's overall complicated.
They'll miss a call, and like you could tell they realize that they missed the call, and then the other way back they'll call a foul that shouldn't really even been called a foul just to give the team back possession of the ball. Yeah, which in a way it's like, but like it does make sense because that player should have been taking free throws, but instead it was a fast break for the other team and they end up scoring, right? So it's like there has to be consistency with the calls, and we see certain players get away with things that other players can't get away with. You know, I don't want to say James Harden gets away with everything, right? But James Harden does. That's another narrative too, right? But James Harden does, like, when he drives, like, referees they know they're gonna be calling a foul. But then if like a not so known player does it, the exact same thing, gets same contact, they're more likely not gonna call it just off of the name. So I think that has to be something that has to come into play, right? I think consistency is big.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Especially in hockey, like if you get a hard hit, the refs will probably see it. They'd be like, play on, and the guy would be down, and then you have a 5-on-4 coming on the other side, and there's no action taken in a way.
Yeah. You know what? Another thing I want to bring up a little bit related to what we were talking about is, like, take LeBron James, for example. I've never seen a player have so much influence within the league ever in my entire life. Have you guys?
Wow. I don't think so.
No?
I don't think I've ever seen Well, like in sports in general or just NBA?
NBA with LeBron James.
On the court, he's all business, but on the outside,
I think-
he's a great guy.
I think
Yeah,
If
I'm
we're-
not saying anything like against
Oh no,
him as a
Yeah,
person,
yeah, yeah.
Oh no.
I
I
think-
would say like
so.
like sometimes
cool.
it seems like he completely controls the league.
league,
That's-
yeah.
You know what I'm
true.
saying?
That's a fair
You know,
take though.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because MJ he influenced off the court with the sneaker culture, with pushing the game alongside Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, because NBA was dying at that point, and they brought it back to life. Allen Iverson helped propel it to new levels as well, but they just forwarded the brand of basketball. I don't think there's ever been a person who's had such an influence on the NBA like LeBron. Like literally,
Yeah, like
But-
between teams with like trade deals.
literally,
It's
yeah.
just like psychologically controlling.
Yeah.
Like he has a say in a lot of stuff. He has a say in the off season, management, the association, the NBA PA, I believe. I think it's like
Yeah, I
that's
think he's
for the
somewhere in
league
there as
charity
well.
Stuff.
But, like,
he has a say. For
If
his
you're the
owner,
general
everything.
manager and you're making a trade, you can't make that trade with LeBron on your team and not go through LeBron if he likes that trade or not. Like
yeah.
it's just become a rule, like an unwritten rule. Like you have to make sure, and it's kind of weird because I don't think we've ever seen that in sports where
No.
We saw that
athlete-
example in Cleveland.
yeah, literally he came into Cleveland and literally cleaned house.
Yeah.
New head coach, knew everything. Most of the times, if he gets there and there's a head coach he doesn't like, most likely that coach is gonna be gone.
But how does he pull that off? Do you know? Because
LeBron.
I really don't.
Because I think LeBron, the level of magnitude LeBron is not only does he rack you in so much money just off of ticket sales, merchandising, and just the brand alone, he also brings you winning. He brings so much to the game that you have to build a team around him as to what he wants, right? Or else he'll leave. As
Yeah.
we see in Cleveland, he did what he did because he wanted to win a championship in his hometown, got it. That's all he wanted. Went to do his own thing in LA to get business opportunities and better whatever his kid wanted. Kid wanted to go to Sierra Canyon in LA, right? So he did what was best for them. But it's crazy. I don't think we're gonna ever see an athlete have the power that LeBron's had.
But you know what? If LeBron is the first of his kind, I think there's going to be more. Like now that it's more like well known for him to do something like that, I have a feeling other players are going to have just as much influence. Maybe not in this generation of players,
Yeah.
but eventually down the line, they're going to see what LeBron did and they're like, okay, I want to do what he did, or like, I want this, I want that. And they can use their money and influence to like
Yeah.
make it work like LeBron did, and even like Kawhi with Paul George.
Kawhi is a
is
good
like-
one.
How did they
Anthony,
pull that off?
I did
too,
not.
man?
Yeah, I did
Boom,
not
right
remember
there,
that.
Right there.
Kawhi literally
Uncle Dennis.
orchestrated one of the most sneakiest moves I've ever seen in
Yeah.
sports.
Him and Uncle. Is
And,
it
like,
Uncle Dennis?
Uncle Dennis as well. But like,
They're,
did you?
they're something else.
I didn't even know. Apparently, he was doing this all from Drake's house in LA.
Yeah, he was doing it from Drake's house.
That's
but I don't
crazy.
See, that's nuts.
I don't know
Like
if Drake.
that's
Private deals and
that's
private
kinda
property.
sly. Like,
I don't know if Drake came to the intention that he was going to go with the Raptors, or he just left them in the room and say, "Okay,
But, like,
hopefully you go with Toronto, go
but,
my fingers crossed." Or
yeah.
maybe he helped with the. I don't know.
no. I think Drake
don't
was
think
probably
he would
like, you know
help.
what? I'm trying to get this guy to stay. If you need my house in LA, stay in LA or
Yeah.
whatever. Do what
Yeah.
you want to do, right?
Would we say Kawhi used?
You could say that.
I don't want to say that.
I don't wanna
Did
say it
Kawhi
either,
use
but-
Drake?
You could say
Because
that.
like
That's tough.
a
don't
little
wanna
bit
be
yes and a little bit no, because at the same time he loved Drake and Drake loved him.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
It's
Like-
mutual.
And he does say he loved Toronto, right, in the time he stayed. And that's big words because he went to a place he did not want to be in, a whole new country.
Yeah.
But just being able to, he literally was able to make a team that he had no control of, trade one of their best players to a team that he wanted.
Yeah.
Do you see the demands he wanted
Yeah.
for every team? Not even just Raptors.
Apparently the Raptors one was
Lakers
crazy,
and
though.
Lakers and Clippers, he wanted stuff too.
Yeah.
And
Because
Raptors.
he wanted to play with Paul George. That was the
Yeah. And
the
Paul
thing.
George wanted to play with him too,
Play
right?
with him as
Right?
well,
He
right?
told us. He said.
Yeah.
He said to the Raptors, I want to play with Paul George. You guys gotta make it happen."
Yeah.
Masai wouldn't. Masai's
And
not gonna give
the
up.
thing is, the Thunder knew that
they-
they had leverage, right? Because
Yeah.
in order for the Raptors to keep Kawhi, they knew that they needed to get Paul George. So they were asking
Yeah.
for, what was it, Norman Powell,
Probably Siakam
Fred
too is in there.
VanVleet. They're asking for a
Yeah.
crazy amount of people.
Our future.
And the Messiah is obviously like, no, what the heck? That's not going to happen. The Clippers end up trading, 7 first-round picks? Wasn't it 7? Or something?
Was
Really?
the first round picks
For
Shea-
Kawhi and Paul George.
For just Paul George.
Oh, for just
imagine,
Paul
imagine
George,
Shea
okay.
Gilgeous. Imagine Shea Gilgeous on the Clippers now.
That would be crazy. You know what? I'm going to search up how many first-round picks the or how many picks in general.
I think you're right. 7. I think.
It was a
might
lot
be
because
7 or 6.
because I know that whole summer they acquired so many picks, from 5 first-round picks. 5 first-round picks.
5?
That is crazy.
5 first-round picks.
That
That's
is
crazy.
that is actually so crazy, especially in the modern NBA. Draft picks are held so high as like.
Look at Oklahoma now, though.
I know, that's crazy. Gotta give some credit to Chris Paul and Shea Gilgeous. Dennis Schroeder off the bench has been amazing for them.
We can't say they lost the trade now. We cannot say that.
For sure.
We
Billy
know.
Donovan's proved
It's neutral.
that he's
It's
a great
neutral.
coach.
Yeah.
Everyone was getting fire Donovan. He's showing that he is an amazing coach. He just needed the right pieces around him. But that is a great example. Kawhi being able to orchestrate that, because never have we seen a player force another team to trade someone who is already on contract. It wasn't like Paul George was on his last year of his contract.
No, he had a couple years left.
He has a couple more years,
And-
2 or 3 more years left.
And he has a big contract. Masai wouldn't take on that money either.
Exactly,
for sure.
because you're gonna go over the cap. You already have Ibaka getting paid $20 million, Gasol getting paid $20 million.
Lowry got the
that would have been
extension.
Kawhi with the max, PG with the max,
Oh my God.
Siakam with the max.
And Powell has his contract.
Yeah, then
Lowry has the extension.
Yeah, so it just wouldn't have worked out. But it had to be a player that is the best player in the NBA to be able to demand that type of treatment the way that LeBron gets it. Because after what Kawhi did in the finals, it was safe to say that LeBron was the best player at that point because he was on top of the world. So anyone's going to do whatever they can to get him. But if another player comes along the line, they have to be really good to be able to force a team to do that.
Yeah,
in my
like
opinion.
Kawhi.
Like
100%.
Kawhi, like
Yeah.
LeBron, someone at least close to that stature.
Yeah.
Well, Zion and Luka, you think would have that
I
impact
just
in the
don't.
future?
I just don't know if their personalities match that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Because
They're too young right now.
And plus Zion just doesn't seem like that type of guy.
Mhm.
Like if you see the way he talks and stuff, like I really do feel like New Orleans is the place for him.
I think they're both very humble players.
Yeah, they are humble. Luka just
That's
seems like,
awesome.
you know, when people like get to a team. I know you've probably seen it in hockey as well, where like a player's drafted and you could just tell that person's like a lifer. Like that person is gonna stay there. Like
yeah, you know they're gonna be committed.
Yeah, you know, like, that's
Lowry
just-
from the beginning.
yeah, you know,
right?
like
Lowry.
even though there was a trade rumors and stuff, you just said like that. Just like him in a Raptors uniform just looks right. Like
yeah,
certain like when I saw Kawhi in a Clippers uniform at first, I was like,
yeah.
that doesn't look the same. Like
It
when
felt so weird.
it felt weird.
It
Like,
felt weird, man.
See him in a Spurs
Kawhi
jersey
red.
looked nice. See him in a Raptors jersey, I was like, not gonna lie, that looks pretty nice. I can't like.
The OVO jersey, the OVO night.
Oh my gosh, those jerseys
Yeah.
are amazing.
Mhm.
Those jerseys are so fire. But yeah, I think those two are lifers like Kobe, Dirk, Ovechkin, like those people just like it sticks like that's their team, right?
Yeah, you need players like that in every league because it helps the fan base. It grows the fan base.
It also helps small markets.
It helps those
Yeah, it does.
small
too.
markets because
It enhances the
yeah,
experience.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And we seen San Antonio go from like a small market to one of the most winningest cultures in sports history, right?
Yeah.
And we're about to, if the season ends, this will be the first year they don't make
I wonder what
technically don't make the
Popovich.
playoffs.
I wonder what Popovich future holds.
I think he steps down soon.
Tim Duncan's gonna take
he steps
over.
down soon.
Will Tim Duncan take over for a bit?
Maybe him and
Wow.
Becky Hammond. But let's move on.
Oh, yeah,
So-
before we do,
yeah, let's
actually,
go.
I just want to bring up something a little bit related back to the coronavirus thing. Vince
Okay.
Carter.
Oh
This
my
is apparently
gosh, yeah.
he was
Scored-
planning on retiring after this year, this season, right?
Nice,
Yeah.
Anthony. Nice.
Yeah. So now that the season just ended, if they don't come back, what's gonna happen? You think he'll just come out of retirement, play another year, so he can get a proper finish,
I
get some
don't-
closure to his career?
I think I got
I
the
don't.
comment.
I don't think so because I
No?
think they asked him about it post game.
I think they did too, but I didn't watch it fully.
Yeah, I didn't watch it fully as well. But he had a moment at the end of that game. He was on the bench, and after everyone knew that the NBA is gonna be suspended after the game, the coach put him back in for like the last 10 seconds, and he made a three with like 3 seconds left, and everyone in the arena went crazy.
Wow.
Even the players on the Knicks, they're all like jumping on their bench cheering, and that was kind of like if the NBA was to like not return. I think that was that moment where
You
it's
think
like,
that's it?
Yeah.
They're gonna call it quits there. That's it for Vince Carter.
yeah, because I don't think
Yeah.
he was not a player at the magnitude of Kobe, where it was like he needed a whole farewell tour
Yeah.
to get a standing ovation or whatever. But I think that was
The closure
Yeah, I think
that he's
that
gonna
was-
get.
a closure. And if the NBA does return, I think maybe one game where they just play him 30 minutes and just let him go see what he can do. But yeah, I think that
Yeah,
was
nice.
a good send off, if anything.
I got the comments if you guys want to hear it.
All right,
So
let's
at the
hear
end of the game, so shout out Bleacher Report. Thank you for the information. Vince Carter, when he was interviewed, he said it's just weird as we were being briefed on everything. I'm sitting there like, all right, this is it, like that. It ended like that. I'll reflect like, golly, this is weird, man. It's weird to say I'm calling it quits, calling it a career. So
It's crazy.
I mean, it's most likely.
He seems pretty upset about it at the same time.
I-
I
don't
think
think he wanted it to
disappointed. I think he's
end.
disappointed about
Yeah.
the way it's ending.
Yeah,
'cause
from
no
that
one saw
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna sign a 10-day or like a 1-day contract with the Raptors before he
I think so.
and then retire as a Raptor.
You think
That's
so?
my personal opinion.
You think that's what he's going to do?
I think
Yeah,
they
we'll give him all the
might.
minutes he wants.
I think
probably.
Masai might like go like just message him, hey, if you want to retire as a Raptor, where it's all started, you know, we could throw a 1-day contract because that's what Paul Pierce did.
Yeah.
He retired as a Boston Celtic.
I think we have the space in Stanley Johnson's in the.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll do it.
that's during the
now.
off season, so it doesn't. If it's a 1 day,
When
it
he
doesn't
comes
really
back.
matter, right?
Yeah.
Just so they retire as
Yeah.
the team they started for who they really are, right?
Yeah.
Because when you think about Vince Carter, you think about Toronto Raptors, dunk contest,
Mhm.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Memorable stuff.
But we'll see what happens. You know, anything could happen. but,
anything could happen. Hopefully, everything.
Yeah.
that's
After
not the
30
end of
days,
it.
we'll find
Yeah,
out.
and the next topic I want to talk about was when you see politics really in sports, it kind of messes things up. Because two things that they say never to talk about is the P word and the R word. Those being politics and religion, because those are two of the most iffy subjects because people have such strong beliefs in them.
Yeah.
And one person who went straight at politics and what was going on at the time was Colin Kaepernick. And we all know Colin Kaepernick. He was the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. And back in his young days, he led them to the Super Bowl. Was not able to win as I think they lost to the Seattle
Seattle
whoa.
Seahawks.
I was about to say Supersonics. Seattle Seahawks. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Same-
the Seattle Seahawks.
Same state.
And yeah, if we all know the story, it was all over the media. He was kneeling during the national anthem, got a lot of backlash for it. You know, people did not like it. America is a very patriotic country, and they take pride in that flag and that anthem more than anything I know. Right?
Yeah.
How long ago was this, by the way? I can't remember what year.
I believe this was 2017.
2017.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
get the
Let me see.
exact
Let me see.
year. Yeah, around 2017, 2018.
Yeah. Okay. Just I wasn't 100% sure. I totally forgot.
Then we see. I
Around
see
what
one.
time?
I see a thing in 2016 though, so it could have been even earlier.
Yeah, I see some stuff 2016, 2017.
I think 2016 because it says
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick kneels during national anthem on Monday Night Football, September 13, 2016.
Okay.
So I think around that time, because then after he did not get a job again from the NFL, but
I think he knew the risks. He knew
Yeah,
what he was
he
going
knew
to
the
get
risk.
himself into.
and we've seen I think the NFL and the NBA are probably the leagues where athletes are most vocal about political issues going on.
Yeah,
And-
definitely not hockey. That's
yeah,
for sure.
I really haven't seen it that much in hockey.
Yeah, me either.
Not
and
at all.
I think
no.
the times are changing with athletes, especially like
That's true.
with those big name athletes. LeBron is one of the most influential people when it comes to talking about certain things,
One of the
right?
most
Definitely.
influential athletes in that sense of all time. You think?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
100%. No argument in that.
I think so because he's been vocal, right? We haven't seen people really be that vocal. Do you think it's good for players to voice their beliefs on political ideas, or do you think there's like a time and place?
You know what? I think I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
That's a tough one because it depends on if their contract allows them. Some things they're not allowed to talk about according to their contract.
Yeah, something
right?
that is true.
Yeah, but I think it doesn't hurt. No, like I guess as long as it's not hurting anybody, but like you can bring up religion to some extent. Obviously, like there's moderation with everything, right?
Yeah.
As long as they're not putting down anyone, like
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
the
yeah,
point in
it's
that, right? You're
yeah.
just asking to get fired,
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily there's a time and a place. There's a there's moderation involved. Like you can't go around spewing garbage, talking trash about every religion or certain
Yeah.
types of religion, right? You're asking for it there, but just to bring it up and talk a little bit about it, like within common decency, I think is all right.
Yeah, for sure. Malik?
Yeah, I think you should always be allowed to voice your opinion because you're your own person, you're individuals. But as Anthony said, some people are not allowed to talk based on their contracts and specific rules that are like under the regulations or like what you talked about with the owner or the manager of the team. But I think that if you have good intentions, I think if you stay true to yourself, if you're not bashing anyone, if you're doing it as a positive note for the world, if you want to try to improve something, then yeah, voice it. But maybe like don't try to bash, don't try to spread negative hate towards the world. Just be gender neutral, gender equality, and just promote diversity around the world and continue to grow better and better as a group, individual. Love your families, love your friends.
Yeah, see, things
That's
like
about
that.
it.
Yeah, you can do things like that without slandering religions. Like it's yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the moderation thing. There's certain things, you know, and most people can realize for the most part when the line is crossed. And if you're not sure where the line is, it's better to keep your mouth shut, I guess.
Yeah, so you
just to
don't,
play safe, but
play safe.
I think it's not that bad overall.
Yeah, I
Why
think
not,
everyone
right?
deserves to voice their opinion as well. When it comes to Colin Kaepernick situation, it's tough because
Very controversial right there.
because it's the United States, right? They take so much pride in that. That's a part of their like beliefs, right? And I think that was my mic. I think I hit my mic.
Oh,
Yeah,
sounded like-
it sounded like someone knocked on the door or something. Yeah.
Okay, no
I didn't even know
worries.
the hip. Yeah, that was my mic.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So it's tough, cause with religion, obviously, it's like you can voice your opinion on like religion as long as you're not bringing another group down. Like if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, and you're just talking about your beliefs. Like I've seen some players give thanks to God after like their post game interview or whatever. Like, oh, how are you able to play this good? Oh, God bless me or whatever. That's okay, right? That's just you voicing your beliefs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when it comes to something like that, it's kind of tough because I personally feel that he has every right to kneel during the national anthem because
I agree.
if he believes that he's standing for an anthem and a flag that doesn't truly represent its amendments and its beliefs, then you shouldn't have to stand for it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I believe, like I live in Canada, right? And I'm very grateful for Canada and the country of Canada.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna stand no matter what for Canada because it's been a great country for us and we're blessed to live in a country like this. But in the United States, they take so much pride into it that it becomes such a big deal that if you don't stand up for it, it's as if like you hate the country, you're not grateful, and it's also they flip it on you're not thankful for the military because that's what the big thing is for their
about the military.
You know what? I think, in all honesty, you should always stand for your anthem, no matter the politics with it. Like, I don't agree with everything the Canadian government's doing, and I certainly don't agree with everything the American government did or has done. But I think kneeling for an anthem is just disrespectful because, let's put it this way, Canada and the States have both given people so much more things you can count than more things that they have taken away from you, right? And I know that in times like that where you're hating on what the police or the military has done, I think there's other ways to go about it. You should never disrespect the Canadian like military, for example, because even though the police, because even though there have been plenty of times where there have been, you know, questionable things that they've done, there have always been times where they've done good things for this country. So I think those are the times you have to respect. Those are the times where you have to respect the anthem and the flag the most, is for the people who did do right for us. So just because you're kneeling to say something, to show a message about, oh, you should always stand up for the people who did do good things for this country, and those are the ones who should be put forth the most. Like, I'm just rambling on a little bit now, but I think you guys kind of understand.
Yeah, no, I get what you're trying to
what
say.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, because
I'm not sure how to properly word it, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, there's been like
It's
there might be
super touchy.
there might be bad stuff that the government's done, but there's always been those people
But you
who
should always
have
respect
fought for good. Yeah,
and you should always respect that first.
yeah.
Before you're gonna go and kneel, and you know what I mean, right?
Because a lot of people
I think
just
that's
had
the best way to put it.
They had a
Sorry.
problem with him like doing it so publicly, right? That hey, like you're trying to prove a point. We get it, right? But there's a lot of teams who just didn't come out for the national anthem, right? They agreed with Colin Kaepernick his beliefs, but they didn't kneel, and
I agree with.
People were okay with that. They're
That's
like, all
fair.
right, if you don't want to come out for the national anthem, you can stay in your locker room or whatever, right? But as long as you're not disrespecting the anthem, as in like you're blatantly just like and the flag, and you're just kneeling down and you just don't want to be a part of it. Like I've seen sometimes at school, like people have certain beliefs where they don't stand during the national anthem.
Yeah, that I don't agree with. Even if you're not from the country that you're in, you should always stand. You should always respect their
respect
anthem.
it, yeah, because you're in a different
even letting you in
beliefs,
in the country, right? Different beliefs, but that's a common thing.
Yeah,
that's a universal thing between every country.
Yeah,
always respect the other.
Always
anthem.
respect it, yeah, and it's respect is such a big thing, and we know there's been a lot of situations where respect hasn't been that present. And before we get on to the next topic, we did not talk about our favorite fights in sports history, and I wanted to touch on that.
I was gonna come back to that, but I didn't know if we were gonna have time for that. But
yeah, we got time for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who wants to start? Because
I think as a basketball fan,
I think we may have
we're
the same
gonna have the
favorite. We're gonna have the
favorite.
same. We're gonna have the
As
same
a basketball fan, it has to be Malice in the Palace.
Malice in the Palace, eh?
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
So Malice in the Palace,
Oh,
you know,
man.
Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, Ben Wallace, and who got tangled?
Ben Wallace,
Ron
Ron
Artest.
Artest, Jermaine O'Neal.
Yeah, and then so it was just a fight
yeah.
between the players, we all know, and then Ron Artest lied down on the scorer's table during this whole thing just to like calm down, and then Malik, what happened? What happened while he was lying down on the scorer's table?
And the fans start to get a bit frustrated. And, you know, as a fan, you have to be loyal to Detroit Pistons by being that
There was, like,
being
there
that abrasive in a way,
Yeah.
being that disrespectful to players, and like
There was like 30
influencing a
seconds
negative
left in the
environment.
game. 30 seconds left, and the
Drinks
and the
everywhere.
Pacers were up
They
like
started throwing like beer bottles and
Drinks
stuff onto
everywhere,
the court, right?
food,
beer bottles, beer cups,
players
throwing it at the players.
What a
players going
disaster
crazy.
that
It
game
was
was,
such a
man.
bad look on the NBA at
And then
that
what happened?
point.
And then what happened? What did Ron Artest do, Nikki?
He Ron Artest ended up running into the crowd and started just throwing punches.
Started scrapping with the crowd, eh?
And it wasn't just Ron Artest; it was the whole Indiana
Jermaine O'Neal, I think, joined him second.
and Steven Jackson.
the entire
Jackson.
team went out there and
They
fought the
just
crowd,
started
right?
fighting the crowd.
That's crazy, man.
And we've never seen anything happen to that since. I think Ron Artest, but that was like one of the things that ruined his
man.
career. We know Ron Artest as Meta World Peace and then Panda Friend. He's changed his name to Panda Friend. But he was a aspiring great young player, right? With the Bulls, he was amazing. Sacramento, he was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Indiana, he was like, I think
Very
he was,
consistent
he was looking
defensive
at being an
athlete.
all-star type player. Then he got suspended like 60 games or something. That's
think a lot
almost
of the games,
3
60,
quarters
yeah.
of the season, and it's just like wasn't the same since.
That just developed his reputation.
Yeah,
as
he
like
got a reputation as a dirty
fighter,
player, you know.
bulldog,
We see
dirty
what happened to him
player.
and James Harden, you know, when he
James
did
Harden, when he elbowed
elbowed
him, yeah.
Yeah.
He was on the Lakers, right?
Yeah, he was the Lakers and then OKC James Harden. But Anthony,
OKC
what's
James
your
Harden.
favorite fight that's ever happened in sports?
You know what? I think one of the most prominent fights I've ever seen, which was so different. Like I've seen plenty of great fights in the NHL, but have you guys ever heard of the punch up in Piestani?
No.
Punch up in PS. I've
No.
not heard of that.
It was,
Enlighten us.
It was what was it? 1987 World Juniors in Piestani, Slovakia. It was Czechoslovakia then, but now it's Slovakia.
Cool.
It was in the finals between Canada and the USSR, the Soviet Union, in the World
Ooh.
Juniors.
That's a good one.
Now-
Soviet.
Now, if you know the World Juniors is a place where they're so tight on fighting. Like, as soon as the players get close to each other, they'll break it up. It's the World Juniors is not a place for fighting by far. But that game, I think it was in the second period, the Soviets were down by a couple goals, and they just sent the entire team on to fight the five Canadians that were on the ice.
No way.
Did
They were-
it turn to a brawl?
They sent the entire first they started fighting each other, and then in retaliation the Soviets sent the rest of the team on, and they were like ganging up on our 5 guys. And don't forget, these guys are 18 or 19, like 18, 19, 20, I think 21, right?
Yeah.
World Juniors, right? So that's what ended up happening. And the fight, it got so out of hand. There was like 3 Russians on 1 Canadian at one point.
Tensions.
People were kneeing each other.
Oh
The
my
entire team,
God.
goalies fighting. I think the fight went on for 20 minutes. Wow. It got so bad
I gotta watch
that
this
they
when I.
they shut the
go.
entire light system in the arena down, like for a minute, to try and see if people would stop fighting. They turned the lights back on and they're still going at it.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It was one of the craziest fights I've ever seen, because you'll never, and I don't, up until that point, you've never seen anything like it, and probably ever again, you will never see a fight like that in the World Juniors.
Was Gretzky on that team? The
No,
World
but
Juniors?
you know who
Oh,
was?
It wasn't.
I think 1987, Brendan Shanahan. You know who Brendan
Yeah,
Shanahan is?
Shanahan,
yeah, I know
Brendan Shanahan was on the Canadian team.
He
That
could,
in that
so he
fight.
could talk about that. He'll remember that.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
is
Who wouldn't
wow.
remember that?
Wow, Brendan
But
Shanahan.
do you have the monitor up on screen? Do you think we can
Yeah,
channel to
yeah,
the
I
monitor? You
could
could
pull
search up
that.
a video,
I
maybe?
could pull that up and show everyone at home.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
One of the while you're saying how people are holding each other, right? That got me thinking about there's this one fight between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics back in the 80s. Julius Erving and Larry Bird got into it.
Yeah.
And literally
Julius Erving. I remember
Julius
Julius Erving. Like, I never
Erving
seen him like that.
one of his teammates held Larry Bird from the back, right? So his arms are being held, and Dr. J's just punching him, and like,
trying to remember who
and Larry Bird can't do anything because he's being held down, and he's just going at him,
Crazy.
And I've never
That was a
seen
huge brawl.
a fight like that.
That
That
was a huge
was
brawl.
that was something.
I don't know who
That
was holding him.
something.
I don't know if it was Daryl Dawkins. I don't know who it was.
It could have been Daryl
could be Daryl
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
Yeah. What was the fight called?
Punch Up and Piastani. P-I-E.
Punch Up.
The punch up, huh, Anthony?
Oh, found it already.
Found it?
See?
Okay.
Very
Don
popular.
Cherry.
Here, let me
Very
just get up for a second. I'll help you choose the right video.
Yeah.
There's
There's a
one that
few
can
of them.
sum it up. Yeah, because one's like 20 minutes long.
There's
Okay.
a 4-minute one. There's a 10-minute one.
I've seen it so many times, but he's moving the monitor.
Oh,
Perfect.
it says as told by Brendan Shanahan.
Let's see
Yeah.
this.
So this is when Canada was up a couple goals. Canada's in white. There's the third goal, I think.
Nice.
I think it was 4-2
TSN feature.
when this fight happened in the second period. So while we're waiting for that part to come on, the end result was here we go. This is midway through the fight. Look,
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
No, the refs can't even control them.
I know they were going off.
Oh
they were
my
going
God.
crazy.
No,
man.
they need more than 2 refs.
Is it just 2 refs?
No, I think there
Is
was
it 3?
4.
4?
Look,
They still need
look in
more.
the bottom middle. There's 2 Russians on 1 Canadian.
Oh my! Yeah,
Did you see that?
I saw that.
that
wait.
was crazy.
See, yeah, right there.
Wait. Oh yeah,
Pause
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
on the
yeah,
Pause
yeah.
it.
Right.
Oh, whatever. But I think
But
That's crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
that is crazy.
Wow.
okay. If you want to keep playing it, I'll talk over it. But
Yeah,
the
talk
end
over a little
the end
bit.
result was this was the finals, right? Canada and the Soviet Union both got disqualified from the finals. And Finland was the 3rd place team. They got bumped up to 1st by default.
Did they end up winning?
They won the World Juniors
They won
that
the
year
World Juniors.
because Canada and Soviets got disqualified. So they got pushed up from 3rd to 1st. So that's what ended up happening. And I think the players were banned for a year
This is crazy.
from playing
Look
in.
at this.
I know it's crazy. The players were banned from.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that was a hit
These
right
two-
there. That was a hit right there.
Oh.
What?
Oh, that's 2
See?
on 1 right
yeah,
there.
that's the 2-on-1 I was talking about.
Yeah. Look
right?
at this. Look at this.
I want to get to the part where they shut off the lights. But anyway, guys, while this is going on, I'm going to explain what happened. So after they got disqualified, all the players were banned from competing for how long was it?
there the lights are turning off.
Yeah, right there, the lights are turning off. Okay, I'll get into it after the lights come back on. But they were off for about a minute and a half, and they expected the fight to stop when they turned them back on. But I think they were still going at it.
I wonder what the fans were thinking.
The fans were freaking. The fans were going crazy, man.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I know the quality isn't that good because it was in '87, obviously. But
I see.
look at all the gloves.
That
The
is
entire
crazy.
team jumped off the bench. But
Did
honestly,
they shake hands at the end?
no, I don't think so. They sent everyone to the dressing room. Look, see, there.
That is
That was the end of
crazy.
it. But honestly, even though the Russians started it, they were very sore losers that year. No offense to the Russians, but that year they were very sucky. There was a very sucky group of men.
Man.
So
Wow.
I think if the Canadian team didn't send out their guys to defend the rest of the team that was getting killed, then the coach should have been fired for sure.
Yeah.
The coach should have been
Because
like
that's just
the coach isn't a real man if he didn't send his
yeah.
team out to defend the rest
I
of
think the
them.
coaches realized that like it's going down. We might as well go all the way.
Because what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Your guys are getting destroyed on the ice. Are you gonna let the rest of the team sit there and not do
just
anything?
Not do anything.
Right?
They're all gonna want
You
to
have to stand up for yourself once in a while.
Yeah.
I got a live update about Giannis. Giannis is donating $100,000 to the Bucks arena staff. He joins.
Okay,
he
so
joins Kevin Love. So
Love.
that's the second player now.
Second player.
Oh, nice.
Giannis.
That's nice. You know what? Before we close off,
Can I just before we close, I want to give a bit of closure on this whole thing.
Okay,
So what
yeah.
ended up happening, I was going to get into it, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
getting
for sure,
pretty
for sure.
juicy. So anyway, what ended up happening was I think the players got banned from the World Juniors for a year. They weren't allowed to play in anything related to the World Juniors, I
That's
believe.
crazy.
And the coaches were banned from playing from coaching for 3 years.
3 years. Wait, the coaches were banned.
The coaches were both banned for 3
3
years.
That's-
But what ended up happening is the players ended up only getting 6 months ban. So they were able to compete in the 1988 World Juniors. It was this almost the same group of guys. Canada and Russia in the finals again. I think Canada won.
Oh.
I'm not 100% sure what happened that the following year, but I know Canada and the Soviet Union were both in the finals the year after.
That is crazy.
Nothing. You will never ever see anything like it
Yeah,
anywhere
I don't
else,
think we're ever
especially in
gonna
the
see
World
that again.
Juniors or even in the NHL now,
Yeah.
because they're
watch that
cracking
again.
down on that.
Yeah,
gonna
they're
watch that
cracking
again.
down. Yeah.
But that's what ended up happening with that. That's definitely one of the craziest fight stories I've ever seen, especially because it was so surprising coming from the World Juniors.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Thanks, Anthony, for that.
That
No
is
problem,
Good.
man.
that
I like the
is-
video. Thank you.
I hope that was interesting because
that
a lot
actually
of
was. Yeah.
yeah, because a lot
That's
of
sick.
people
That was
turn
sick.
to the NHL and say, "Oh, the NHL has the best fights." No, I think Punch Up and Piastani was one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By far, because it was so different and so surprising. But anyway, what were you guys gonna say?
Oh
after
yeah.
that?
So before we close off, I just wanted to say that since this whole situation that's going on with the whole coronavirus, this will probably be like the last video or
Might be, yeah. I think
podcast
it's
in
gonna be
a
the last video.
while.
Yeah,
Because
taking a bit of a hiatus.
yeah, because
sadly,
we won't be able
We're going on a
to
hiatus.
be on where we usually record and
Yeah.
stuff. We won't have the facilities and whatnot.
yeah,
so-
the studio might be closed down.
Student might be
Yeah,
closed
so-
down.
But yeah,
It's gonna be a little setback.
Yeah.
But when we come back, we'll be back better than ever. Ready to get things rolling again. So
even then, it's going to be a little slow in the sports world anyway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Nothing new relevant to talk about much.
Yeah,
except
so-
it's all going to be like coronavirus
It's
related.
gonna be
But
all news and on the
we
updates. Of
see like what we did here. We talked about like old stuff, our favorite highlights of fights
Yeah,
in
yeah.
sports and a bit of politics. Like there's a lot to talk about that happened in history, but
That's fine.
in terms of new stuff going on right now, there's not too much.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even if it is new stuff, most likely it's going to be depressing coronavirus related stuff. Some new teammates get confirmed positive, but we don't really want to talk about that too
Yeah.
much because it just brings everyone's morals down.
Well
so
done, yeah.
you know what, we want to talk about better stuff and more interesting stuff than the coronavirus, and that's what we did afterwards. I think it was a good talk today, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
think- I
I
think
had a
today's
lot
talk-
of fun. I
I think
so much
today's
fun.
talk was good, and you know what? Let's end it off right before it hits an hour mark. It's right at 58 minutes on this video.
Yeah.
We've been talking for an hour. It doesn't even feel like an
Yeah.
hour.
Crazy. That doesn't even,
Do we
Yeah.
have
like an
time?
hour.
Do you think we have time? What do we have time for a freestyle? Maybe
Freestyle.
Want to do a last
Whoa.
freestyle?
we have to end off with a freestyle. We have to
Freestyle?
give them
I
something
think
to look
because you
forward
said that
to.
you have to go first now, Anthony.
No,
I
I
th- I
can't,
think-
dude. I can't freestyle, man.
I
You
think
gotta
you
go
You
to-
brought up the idea, so it's only it's only.
I
it's only
can't.
right.
No, that's
or should
not.
we just get an M3 3 bars?
I
Just
have
to end it
three
up?
bars.
What should we do? 3 words again, maybe?
3 words again? Alright, sure.
I don't know. What do you think we should do for the words? Last time I had them down packed. I knew from the beginning it was gonna be Dangle, Snipe, and Sully for last episode.
Dangle,
I've been
Snipe,
selling. I like that.
All right,
do you
we'll do
think?
we'll do some terms that we talked about. So kneel will be one of them. Since we talked about
Kneeling?
kneel
Okay.
kneel or kneeling.
Politics, maybe.
Politics and
bacteria.
what was that thing called? Where's the place where they fought?
I got it.
Piastani?
Piastani.
Okay, you know
word,
what? We'll throw in a bonus word because of the coronavirus. We'll throw in the word bacteria.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
wait. I gotta. Okay, wait.
Malik, you have about let's say I'm gonna give you 3 minutes max.
All right.
Yeah, coronavirus diss track. Everybody, here we go.
All right,
Okay.
let's go.
All right. Here we go.
Do you need a beat or you're gonna go acapella?
I'll go acapella.
All right.
It's okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, I just got out of the shower. I'm looking from my head to my kneel, but you know, I'm putting on my shoes and I can't even see my heel. I'm looking at everything's so isolated. I'm be like, yo, what's the deal? I'm going and flowing. I'm looking at the Piastani fight. Everyone's going, punching with all their might. They're gonna hit him with a little 1-2 up with them rights. They're gonna. And they're gonna die like it's 1990.
1987.
What was the year?
1987.
1987. That's not even a rhyme. 1987. These guys said after, hey, everyone, we just finished the fight. Let's go to a 7-Eleven. This podcast, we were talking about politics. But you know this world's going to be full of robotics.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna stop with that. I'll stop.
Everyone stay from that bacteria. Love your family. Cherish every moment you got. And don't get gonorrhea.
I was going to say hysteria. Or hysteria.
I don't even know, man. All right, you know what? That's let's just end it off here. All right, yeah. So
before it gets out of hand.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for watching.
Thanks
Hit the
for
like button if you
everything.
enjoyed the
Thanks,
video.
guys.
Subscribe if you
Everyone stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. Don't get some corona.
Yeah, take it easy out there, and don't forget to slap like in the meantime.
See you guys.
All right, easy.
See you later.
See ya, easy.
Bye.